Hello, everyone. Let me tell you about our 2020 COVID summer project. This one's going to involve our creek. So, in the back of our yard, we have an area where everything tapers down to this drainage ditch area. And before we built our house, this was all just farmland, and there was trees that took root in that drainage ditch. And I've never really liked that area because, it's neat because certain things go in there and whatnot, but I just never really liked how it looked. I didn't like how you couldn't cut grass in there. The grass would get 4 feet tall. Mosquitoes would hatch in there. I just never really liked it. So we decided that we were going to, one by one, start taking trees down. A little help from the old Dodge Caravan, taking a tree down, pulling it the right way so it doesn't wreck our other things in our yard. Lots of help from our family. There's a picture of my 4 daughters. My wife was out helping me all the time. We try to make it a fun project. Get off the couch. It's early in the spring. We've been cooped up all winter. Get out and have a little fun. So we get out. We take out what stumps we can. I've got a little compact tractor, a 3039 with a backhoe on there. So I get out what I can with some of those stumps. And then we got to burn all of the branches, collect everything. It's a lot. It takes a lot of manpower to get some of that stuff done. Those trees are huge. Big trees have huge roots, so my sandbox toy couldn't touch any of these stumps that were in the creek. Basically anything over 8 inches diameter, my backhoe couldn't touch. Just doesn't have the strength to work some of those roots out. This was a 36,000 pound excavator, and it could only tip that stump. It could not lift it. So it just kind of gives you an idea of the sheer mass of what you're dealing with some of these tree stumps. So I hired that out. Guy who did that did a great job getting those out. Then the creek was full of water, a whole bunch of rough spots. We had to wait for that to dry out. It was very uneven, nothing pitched right, and so you'd always have little lakes in that drainage ditch. So we took the opportunity once it dried up enough to take all of our water from our downspouts from our house, and we have a pipe ran there, so that goes out to the drainage ditch. So we fixed that up, and later we eventually built a frog pond right where that is. As we can start collecting, we burn all the grass that was in the creek. I just took a weed whacker and knocked that stuff down, let it dry for a week, and then properly take care of burning that. You light that stuff up. If it's dry enough, it'll just take off. That's why you got to be really careful. But then after 5 minutes, it's burned out and it's good to go. So next was time to get in there and try to excavate away a little bit of shaping the ditch the way I wanted it to. And it became clear very quickly that I was dealing with a huge challenge here. All of that dirt that had been messed around and moved with the big excavator earlier had all been underwater. And when you try to grade in a ditch, basically everything wants to slide down towards the middle. And so every time I came anywhere near the center of that creek, I just slid right down in and I was in trouble. So one night the girls were at softball and they came back and saw me grinning and said, "Dad, what did you do?" So I had to enlist the help of a neighbor, and he did a nice job coming over and helping me pull that tractor out of there. And if you ever wonder what a 3039 John Deere compact tractor looks like when it was buried in the creek, there's a good snapshot for you. So then what happened is it became clear to me then, after getting stuck a few times, was I had to take all that sludge out of the center of that creek, and it just couldn't breathe. When it's wet like that and soupy, it just would not dry. So we went through, and probably took us 10 hours to go down that whole 600 feet of creek bed. And we just took the excavator and just scooped out all of the mush and sludge and just put it up on the brim. And then every few days after the sun would hit it, I would spread it out a little bit more. And then pretty soon, we got it figured out where it was starting to dry. We got fortunate enough with some dry days in the end of July and into August. And eventually, as we kept working it, it started to take shape. And so we got it graded out the way we wanted it to be. And then we pick up some stones, and we pick up the last bits of branches and stuff that we can find, throw some grass seed down, and then we're pretty well in business. So everything pitches the way it needs to now. As we talked about earlier, we had a ton of little baby frogs in there when it was so wet this spring. And so a little family project, we decided that we were going to maintain that frog habitat and make a little frog pond. So that area where all the water comes from the house, the rainwater, we made like an 8-foot or so frog pond with some pavers, and we put some field stone in there and some old like just wood branches and stuff, and we've got quite a few frogs in there already, and hopefully that habitat will continue. So here's the last look at what it looks like now. You can see where the grass has come up nicely. Everything's tapered and pitched nice enough where there's not much water that stays in there. We just had like 4 inches of rain the other night, and that's all that's left in there because it drains properly. And now when it comes to June, July, August, I should be able to get in there, and I should be able to cut that with a normal lawnmower and not have to deal with mosquitoes constantly hatching right where we have fires and right up by our house. And it was a big challenge, and it was a process, but we ended up figuring it out, and now we got a nice controlled area behind our house. So thanks to all the family for your hard work, and thanks for watching.